My friends, when Rumi talks about that we need to seek and find all the barriers within ourselves that we have built against love, the love that we seek, it's in one way, it feels like it's one of the core teachings has been for me for a long time because it's been such a real experience in my life, both with myself and with my clients, that it kind of all begins there. And I have been talking so much about self-love, and I just got this image earlier today. Well, when I had my big bang awakening back in Denmark many years ago, I really experienced myself as love. I just experienced that there is basically only love. And so it's a lovely experience just to walk around as love, in love, meeting love. So I had a real experience of that, even though I didn't quite understand it when it went away. But something like that doesn't leave you. It does something to you. So the image I got earlier is like when you really experience that everything is love, there is only love. So imagine this universe, it's just love, nothing but love. The reason we are not experiencing it is as if we have, built some kind of a separation. It might be a very thin separation. Like here we are, love everywhere, inside out. But we have created this thin separation. You can call it the veil of illusion. You can call it the barriers that Rumi talks about. There is something blocking us from really deeply experiencing and realizing who and what we are. We are not separate from love. It's impossible because there is only love. But we can pretend by turning away from love and focusing on, an illusion, basically a suggestion. You know how I often use the word hypnotic suggestion, which is one of Joe Goldsmith's. When we turn our attention away from the divine, from love, from the field, and focus on our all the problems, all the suggestions of the opposite, that we are not love or loved. And that can only happen because we are born into this veil of illusion. We're literally born into it. And I also talk about the matrix. So as soon as we take birth in the matrix, which is a simulation, then that becomes what we focus on. That becomes what we are being programmed to focus on, and then, of course, believe, and then make it our reality. But that is that thin veil that we see through. And somehow that veil is not very transparent because we can't really see through it. It just feels like, oh, here it is. That's the truth. So we're missing the wholeness everywhere. When we look inside, there's the veil. When we look outside, there's the veil. So we cannot see it as long as we are identified with the programming in our minds that everybody is here in this dimension called the matrix. The way we turn it around, it's not something you just do, because if you're too identified with the veil, with the illusion, or with the matrix, you don't even have access to that option. It doesn't come as a suggestion that says, hey, maybe this is all a lie, what you're seeing. Maybe it's an illusion. Maybe there's only love, right? That doesn't happen when you are deep down in the ditch of the darkness. Although what happens often when we are down there, then there is something that goes like, this can't be right. This can't be it. And that is when a part of us starts rising up, starts looking for something else. In that phase, you will probably at some point recognize that the lack of self-love is what's causing a lot of our issues. So here there is that opportunity to choose differently and say, I'm not going to beat myself up like that anymore. It simply hurts too much, and I don't want to do that. And that's when we start on the journey of self-love, which is really divine love. It's not something we do out there. Self-love is basically dissolving that layer of illusion. And the more we dissolve it by not fighting it, not being attached to it, being able to be present with it, going in and meeting it, but instead of rejecting it, we learn to just first allow it, and that creates a space. And in that space, we have more consciousness or more awareness to really investigate or inquire within what is true. So then this layer, of course, little by little starts dissolving, and we start realizing more because we're more in touch with the love that we are. And because that layer is dissolving, there's a natural oneness that we start experiencing with that this is actually not separate from that. That is only something we experience when we have this layer, this veil. The love that we are, that is everywhere, and I mean everywhere, that love would never, ever resist or deny love to anything. It's kind of like the ocean, right? The ocean cannot deny any of the drops of water in there or the waves, even if they just splash out, they come straight back home. Maybe they just had the experience for a brief moment to be separate and experience like, what is it like to be separate from water? And then it falls right back in because they have not moved so far away that they are not even aware of the water anymore. And now they're out there like, oh my God, now I need to do it all myself. And there's something wrong with me because I have a memory somewhere that it was easy once and all that stuff. And we can certainly compare that with our true nature, where we may just have taken a moment to like, let's see what it's like to experience being separate from the divine. And then we have that layer, that illusion. It's just an illusion, just for a moment. And, time is an illusion in itself. So it feels like we've been in this for a long time and that we will never get out of it. But in reality, it's probably just like that. And I'm not speaking like that from my own experience because I'm not there yet, but I'm just using it as an example. Like, well, maybe we just, took a splash out of divinity and we experienced ourselves as separate and that there was something wrong with us. That's that veil it's like we have separated ourselves, our own love with the big love, and we think we are this separation. So let's just say we just did that for a moment, just for the fun of it. And then for whatever reason, it seems to have been going on for a long time. But I do sense that when that layer dissolves, then it will probably just have felt like a moment, a long moment maybe, or a full moment maybe. But I did have some, you may have that too when you have these openings and these realizations. It's almost like everything from the past, it's like, what was that? It's kind of a memory and it's not really substantial. So I think we're heading in that direction. But just know that who you are, the love you feel in your heart and in your whole body would never, ever deny any love to anything, anybody, anywhere, anytime. Only that thin layer of illusion that seems to separate us from love. So we need to get out of that separation layer, that illusion, that suggestion. And I think the word suggestion is really cool because when you realize it's just a suggestion, it's like, oh, okay, well, nice suggestion, but that's not my experience, or nice suggestion, but I'm not really interested. And then you just go on in your own, doing your own business and just stay in the love, instead of going like, well, here's a suggestion, that you're not lovable. It's like, really? Oh, that's fun, but it doesn't resonate with me. So we can start coming to that more and more as we see this suggestion here that simply, it almost feels like, just a thin string, that as if there is a separation between who we are and love. But there is not. There only seems to be, as long as we are identified with this string of illusion. And of course, because we have been attached to it for a long time, it feels very real. And our attachments make it seem even more real, that we need to fight it or grasp onto it or whatever it is. These are the attachments that keep us stuck. So that's the work that we all need to engage in at some point, if you aren't already, or just keep at it and keep deepening. And I've talked a lot about, that deeper inner work that we all need to do to get to the core of the impact that such beliefs have had on us and still do. The invitation is always to question it. When you start questioning it, when you start feeling like, I don't want to do that anymore, but I don't know what else to do, then you are on your way out because you have created a gap between you and this veil. It's like you can see it from here. And I was like, what is the thing? But when you're here, you have no chance, no choice. You're it. You're fully engaged, fully identified. So when you get to this point, and I hope some of my videos will help you go like, well, that's interesting. I hadn't thought about that. Or maybe most of you who are following me here on my YouTube channel really know that. And now it's just a matter of, creating a bigger gap from that illusion. So at some point, you just have so little interest in it that you don't even want to engage in it anymore. And because you don't engage with it, you're not feeding it because it needs your attention and your attachment and engagement, whether it's negative or positive. That's what feeds this. So when you really lose interest, this little thing here, this little thread is starving and it's dissolving. And then you start experiencing that, there is only love. Even though there might still be a lot of layers of parts that have not experienced it yet, there's a bigger part of you that kind of knows that now. It's like it's embodied. You can feel it, right? You can feel the feeling of that experience is so much bigger than the suggestion in this little thing. So yeah, the love in your heart would never, ever exclude, reject, push away all the parts that are longing to be loved inside, no matter what they look like, feel like, have done, because all it is because we accepted a suggestion of what the illusion is telling us. And when we let go of that, we just naturally, just like those splashes in the water, we just naturally bloop, fall back down into love, into our divinity, as if nothing ever happened. It was just like, oh, that was a strange experience. It's like a dream. I mean, it is a dream, as many people talk about also, an illusion, a dream. So you just plump back into the divine. It's like, huh, that was an interesting dream. I'm glad I'm not doing that anymore, or I feel done with those kind of dreams. I'd rather, splash around in the ocean and enjoy the fullness and the bountiness and the yumminess of it. Yeah, love would never, ever, ever deny any part of you. The only part that does that, that's that little string that makes us feel separated from the divine. So let me just stitch it back to our friend Rumi. He said, your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers that you have built against it. You see, this is the barrier. It's those suggestions. And so you don't need to seek for it. You just find this barrier, and then you do the work um, to disengage with it and basically starve it. I hope that's helpful. I'd love to hear from you. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, share if this is something that you resonate with, or if you have friends who might resonate with this. Personally, I think this is a very, very important piece for all of us to start integrating. And so we can really start living as that love that is everywhere, instead of separating ourselves in our minds from it, pretending that it's not here or not for us. It's for all of us. It is who we are. All right, my friends, until we meet again.